What are the educational options available to us today? And more importantly, how do we choose how we educate ourselves and our children? These are the questions that I am frequently asked. I give a lot of presentations about education, and I am interviewed on programs such as the Today Show, which point blank ask me, why did I decide to educate my family in the way that I'm educating them? First question is, what are our options? The first of these most of us already know, such as public school, private tutoring. We know these because that's how we were raised. We know them very firsthand. Virtual academies are starting to become more popular. These are essentially public school at home on a computer. We also know alternative schools such as Waldorf and Montessori, and they're very popular, especially here in California. This also brings up homeschooling. And when I say homeschooling, most of us know about curriculum homeschooling. In fact, most of us only know about curriculum homeschooling. But there are actually a wide variety of types of homeschooling. They include homeschooling co-ops, eclectic homeschooling, unschooling, and the even more fringe radical unschooling, which is gaining popularity around the globe. So when I went to describe this, I wanted to have a graphical representation explaining the differences and similarities between the types of education. Immediately I wanted a line graph with public school on one end and radical unschooling on the other. However, there's just too many variables for a simple line graph. And that is why I created the educational spectrum. Using the most important aspects of what education is, I have these two axes. The vertical axis represents how children learn, what they learn, and when they learn. The horizontal represents who is with the child when they are learning. At the top, we have kids self-determinant. This means that children who live by this educational choice, they get to choose for themselves what to learn, how to learn, and when to learn. At the bottom, external structure, that is an environment where the children do not get to choose for themselves. It is like a school system, perhaps with classes, with strict time schedules, and a curriculum stating different subjects. On the horizontal line, we have parents involved on the right. This means that during this educational option, parents are actually present and with the children as they learn. On the far left, we have others more prominent. And by that, it is when the children go off, away from the parents, to a school environment perhaps, and so a teacher or a religious leader, or perhaps other children spend the educational hours with the child rather than the parents. A logical blending of the axes gives us the four corners. In the upper left, with kids self-determinant and others more prominent, we get left alone. This is a bad place to be. This is called unparenting, and it is a bit like a Lord of the Flies type of situation, not a situation that I would ever recommend. The exact opposite of left alone is guided. And when children are in this educational realm, they are guided by higher authority, such as a religious tenet or a scientific document or anything that is a higher authority than even parents. The opposite diagonal is my favorite, rules versus principles. And with a combination of others more prominent and external structure, we get live by strict rules. Children who learn by strict rules are in an environment where rules are very important, or it could be chaos. And if they do not follow those strict rules, there are predetermined consequences for their actions, and they know that ahead of time. The opposite of rules is live by principles, where kids are self-determinant and parents are involved. And when they live by principles, the parents help them understand morals and the difference between right and wrong and how to determine for themselves how they want to live. Do you want to guess where the dot might be for the type of education that you're most familiar with? Okay, here's where I put the dots. And as a handout for you as well. In the left alone section, upper right, we have unparenting. And that is the one that we'd like to put an X through it right now and leave that for a completely different topic because I do not recommend that ever. All the other types of education are very good under different circumstances. You'll see that in the bottom left are different types of private and public schooling. The bottom right is very difficult to see, but it's different types of homeschooling as well as alternative schools, such as Waldorf and Montessori, where parents are required to give of their time. Also have different outliers of types of homeschooling here, which leaves radical unschooling in the upper right-hand corner, which is actually what my family does, and I'd be happy to talk about that at a different time. Are you happy with the way that you educate and the way that your children are educated? You'll know this by if you are all thriving and actually happy. The great thing is that most people don't know we have many choices about how we can educate ourselves. And this is wonderful. And if you are not happy, this is the opportune time to jump to a different dot and try out something new. Thank you.